Is it actually Salisbury steak?
Do you want to know or not?
No thanks.
Just so you know, it's really bad.
Whatever you say.
Honestly, if you knew, you might kill yourselves. That's the last thing I'll say forever.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my full Rick and Morty Season 7 Episode 4 video. There were a whole bunch of Easter eggs and references, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes. Very apropos that we're in the middle of Loki Season 2 episodes right now, and one of the big twists of those episodes are that things are being turned into spaghetti all over the place, including people being turned into spaghetti.
You turn into spaghetti?
No.
Good. The less you know about that, the better.
Careful for spoilers. If you haven't seen the Rick and Morty episode yet, we'll start at the beginning, work our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs, WTF moments, starting with the episode title, That's a Morty, which is a reference to the classic song That's Amore by Dean Martin. During this song, there's a famous line that goes, when the stars make you drool, just like a pasta fazool, that's amore.
When the stars make you drool, just like a pasta fazool, that's amore.
The actual song is all about being in love, but the episode is literally about the eating of spaghetti combined with the Soylent Green movie, like the whole idea that you're eating people, basically.
Listen to me, Hatcher. You gotta tell him Silent Green is people!
There are a couple other movie parodies that they work in here too, like Never Let Me Go, along with all the different justifications they come up with for the creation of special quote-unquote spaghetti. Like on this planet, how much of a person does someone have to be in order for their body to turn into spaghetti after they die? Like what qualifies as a person? Mostly the episode, I think, was taking aim at vegans and veganism, like the whole concept of eating things that come from living bodies. During the cold open, they reveal that the family's recently been having weekly spaghetti night. It seems like it's been going on for a while, with Rick bringing them spaghetti. They all love it so much that you can tell that something isn't right. Like they're stupid happy in a way that's so over the top that something is clearly sus. Jerry doesn't care that he's bombed his recent job interview, confirming that he's still out of work. For the vast majority of the series, like however many seasons it winds up running, I think that he will perpetually be out of a job. Like maybe every once in a while he'll briefly get a job, but then probably be fired by the end of the episode. Just so that Beth winds up being the only person in the household that actually has a real weekly job that she goes to earn money. To be fair though, Rick can technically make anything that they need or just like magic it up using his science, so money doesn't really matter to the family that much. Summer loves the spaghetti so much she throws her phone at the thought of it so hard that it winds up smashing to pieces. Jerry even trips on his way to the table, he's so excited. And as he explains here, and Morty talks about later, the idea is that the spaghetti nights brought the family together in a way that nothing had before, like they put all their differences aside and just enjoy time together. One of the metaphors of the episode is how far you're willing to go to get that kind of feeling, that closeness with the people around you. Like if something that was bringing you closer together with your loved ones, your friends, and you found out something behind that was bad, how bad would it have to be in order for you to throw away that closeness with your friends and family? Generally, with all the veganism shots that they take during the episode, you could think of the spaghetti as being kind of like veal. Like there are a couple other metaphors you could make, like the whole idea that you're basically eating a baby lamb and it tastes really good, but what does it take before eating that baby lamb becomes distasteful to you? Turns out at the end of the episode, they reveal it's seeing the entire life history put on screen, like seeing all the memories. In real life, though, the whole idea is that veal is like this delicacy eaten and celebrated all over the world, whereas vegans refuse to eat the meat of any living creature, mostly on moral grounds. Some people are vegans for health-related reasons, like there's some deficiency or some genetic condition they have that doesn't allow them to eat certain types of meat. But mostly veganism is looked at as being a moral choice.
They were delicious. So keep eating them. We can't now.
Because of you.
During the episode, they have a bunch of jokes about the family showing mock shame at the thought of eating people's spaghetti, like a lot of meat eaters in general in real life, saying, yes, it's terrible that something had to die for me to get this tasty meal, but it tastes so good. And just like in the episode, the family doesn't really care about where the spaghetti comes from that much, like they pretend to care, but they don't really care. In real life, most people do not care that cheeseburgers come from cows, they just like their cheeseburgers. Morty then learns the dark truth behind the spaghetti that comes from dead bodies. In the way Rick described it, it sounds like the spaghetti generated from a single person's body, from like a single adult person, is more than enough to feed a family of 5 several different helpings. Like it's a lot of spaghetti generated per person. There are a lot of funny moments in the episode where they get really into the weeds on like the whole logic behind the creation of spaghetti. Generally, the whole twist of the episode, like something the family enjoying that Rick brings to them secretly having some terrible origin behind it, has been used on the show many times, as has the trope of Morty kind of ruining something that Rick is doing or trying to do, then making things worse and forcing Rick to help him fix it. That used to be like every single episode in the early seasons of the show. Like Morty would always wind up ruining something, trying to high road Rick, and then Rick would wind up having to fix it because he makes things worse, showing Morty that he never should have messed with it in the first place or questioned it. None of the intro scenes were featured in this week's episode. We still have 6 episodes left this season, so maybe we'll see one at some point. It would be weird if none of the intro scenes wind up in any of the episodes. Rick takes Morty to the dimension where he gets the spaghetti from, explained the whole logic of the episode. In this reality, people who kill themselves turn into spaghetti. The even funnier thing was when they had him explain the logic behind how a human body could turn itself into spaghetti in the first place, and the spaghetti sauce on top of that with the meatballs.
Their cortisol increases the starch content in their bloodstream, changing their intestines into one long spaghetti noodle and the surrounding tissues into a spicy sweet hematoma that we would call a bolognese.
As he explains, the rationale is that their intestines transform into the pasta part and the organs turn into the sauce and the meatballs part, requiring a fatal amount of cortisol. Rick takes him to the hospital where he's been stealing the bodies from, where he's been pretending to be Dr. Hot Penis, probably also getting with some of the staff there on the side, why he used that name. Being on a first-name basis with the security guard is just meant to show that he's been going there for a long time, like they've been having spaghetti nights for a long time. When he says Morty has space cancer, I would not be surprised if that's actually a thing in the Rick and Morty multiverse, like a specific type of cancer you could actually get. They explain on this planet the concept of spaghetti does not exist, like pasta, spaghetti sauce have never existed. That almost seems weirder than the spaghetti twist itself. Rick neuralizing himself, I think, is just meant to be a bit about senior moments, like he gets confused about where he is. I hate it when that happens, implying that he's done that to himself many times. They also use the whole neuralizer bit back during Morty's Mind Blowers, explaining that he does this to Morty all the time. He erases his memories all the time. Later in the episode, he also makes a literal Men in Black reference when he talks about erasing Morty's mind again so that he'll forget where spaghetti came from. I think the reason why he didn't do that at the beginning of the episode is, one, because that would have completely negated the entire episode, like there wouldn't be an episode if he had done that. But also because he does genuinely care about Morty and wants to indulge him. Like normally if Rick did not care about Morty, he wouldn't humor him, like he wouldn't have taken him to this planet to show him what was going on. When he mentions the name Coroner Number 1, that name joke is just about extras and background stars on TV shows. Sometimes on TV shows, there'll be a bunch of extras or background characters, and they'll only give them generic names like Handsome Man Number 3 or Garbage Man Number 2. Usually when actors play characters, even if it's like a really small bit or just a couple lines, if they give the character an actual real name, the person's supposed to get paid way more money contractually, just the way that Hollywood works. So when they name someone Coroner Number 1, it means they don't have to pay them as much money, regardless of what they're doing in the episode. Rick reveals that his moral line, like where the point eating people becomes a problem for him, is when they're given names. This gets into more veganism jokes, like giving the cow that you ate to get the burger a name. Rick lies when he implies Morty's only alive because he doesn't turn delicious when he dies, like Rick wouldn't ever eat Morty. Even if he didn't like it that much, he probably wouldn't eat him. Notice the woman at the door there hears everything that he says and reacts to it as he's walking by, like, what did you just say? I'm not sure what this cross is supposed to mean, like what is their religion on this planet, but that's basically a symbol of their religion. Since Morty's the only person to speak up for Lawrence here, I think the idea is that he was meant to be a really bad person, and that's why nobody wants to speak on his behalf. This guy records his speech explaining what's been going on with the spaghetti, which gets back to their planet's leader, then reveals the truth to the rest of the family, and they obviously all pretend to be shocked, but don't really care because they enjoyed the spaghetti so much. Like, if you're making the veganism jokes here, they love the cheeseburgers. Then they all start clowning on Morty, like, how dare you ruin this for us, Morty? Jerry also reveals that something similar happened with Octopus to them, and it has something to do with fascists in the United States. Like somehow they're behind Octopus, or they turn into Octopus when they kill themselves. You can let me know what you think this means about Octopus on this planet. Morty enjoys some of their version of Pornhub, some farm girl therapist who loves depression for some reason. I always love these little bits on Rick and Morty, like things that don't totally make sense, like what? What is this? Then the Spaghetti Planet leader brings Morty back to explain to them the whole concept of eating spaghetti from dead bodies because they're looking to profit from it, basically. You could call this the show clowning on the entire meatpacking industry with jokes about them trying to come up with positive sounding slogans so that eating whatever it is they're producing sounds less gruesome. Also notice that the ramp for the ship looks just like a tongue and the ship looks like a person eating another person, which is just a callback to the whole theme of the episode, like you're eating other people. Even though the planet seems like it's very similar to Earth, notice in the background there's like a crazy-looking horse creature. Morty's whole joke about typical Earthians is just the idea that everybody in real life is supposed to feel special no matter what. Like, no, we have to tell everybody that they're special. Then they get Morty to consent to being an ambassador so that they can get his permission to use his face in the marketing of the spaghetti. And the episode starts to play with the whole idea of the moral line that Morty draws in the episode. Like, would people giving their permission to be eaten make it okay to eat the spaghetti? And the answer in his case is yes. Like, Morty asked for the spaghetti to be taken to go. The ethical spaghetti is also meant to clown on vegan, vegetarian industry just because oftentimes the same corporations who kill all the regular animals, like the regular meatpacking industry, just slap an ethical label on it and jack up the price, when in reality you're eating the exact same type of meat. The Parmesan joke is a callback to the season 6 opener.
Pass the Parmesan.
Parmesan.
Parmesan. Parmesan.
Parmesan.
Parmesan.
Gross.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Rick reveals how Morty has made things worse on the planet using his face and the slogans to market the spaghetti, turning the entire planet into a glorified spaghetti factory, and the quality of life just going way, way down. Basically engineering more ways on the planet to convince people to kill themselves in order to produce more spaghetti so that they can earn more money. I love the whole side bit here about single origin spaghetti, like it's not spaghetti from a bunch of different bodies mixed together in the same can. Rick reveals that Walmart has several locations throughout the universe. Their cans have a recording from the people that they came from, and obviously the whole bit here is about the person being a cannibal and killing people in real life, and now how his death is super ironic because he's being eaten by a bunch of other people. When they go back to the spaghetti planet, the end is nigh sign is a Watchmen Easter egg. There are a bunch of jokes on the billboards about therapists getting degrees certified specially for spaghetti, like they'll become trained to convince people to kill themselves instead of doing the opposite of that. And apparently the evil organization managing all this spaghetti production is called the Better Spaghetti Bureau. I think that's just meant to be a parody of the American Association of Meat Processors, which is like the organization that manages meat packing in the United States. This is where the episode kind of turns into more of a Soylent Green kind of parody, where the entire planet is consuming or selling spaghetti in some way. They even have the slogan from the Soylent Green movie later in the episode, "It's made from people." They start making jokes about everything that they've done on the planet to convince people to kill themselves. Morty thinks it's Enya. Rick reveals it's actually Morning Zoo news teams, just patter, just the banter that the TV show characters have talking to each other, boring people so badly that they want to kill themselves. A bunch of terrible reality shows like Infidelity Island, where couples just cheat on each other, Siamese twin sisters who somehow can't be separated, and a really bad version of Animal Planet where the animals just kill each other. Rick's whole Discovery Channel joke is also them clowning on the company that now owns Adult Swim and owns the show. So Adult Swim was owned by Time Warner, Warner Brothers, which combined with the Discovery Networks, so now the actual company that owns everything is Warner Brothers Discovery. There was a huge debacle with that the last couple of years. Then they reveal if they stop the spaghetti trade, the planet will also wind up being destroyed, so it's kind of a damned if they do, damned if they don't situation, and Rick agrees to fix Morty's muck-up. Morty also promises to never question any of Rick's gifts or ideas or schemes ever again, but they say it's only for 2 weeks, because that's like the whole foundation of the show, is Morty trying to high-road Rick, then completely mucking things up and making it even worse so that Rick has to fix things and prove to Morty why he never should have messed with it in the first place or questioned him. Basically, it's like them saying it'll be just for the next 2 episodes. Morty's whole Keith Raniere reference is to the NXIVM cult. There were a ton of documentaries about it the last couple of years you can watch, but most people remember the cult because one of the most famous people that were involved with that was Allison Mack, who played Chloe Sullivan on Smallville. She went to jail for a while for that. If you listen to Michael Rosenbaum and Tom Welling's podcast, they've talked about it in the past too, like how they basically had no idea what was going on when they were making the Smallville TV show. Then they have the whole bit about how far away from an actual person something can be in order for it to become spaghetti. This is also a bit about companies in real life trying to come up with more ethical alternatives to traditional meat, and all of them being kind of ridiculous, like Rick and Morty trying to create their version of Beyond Meat or plant-based meat, like Impossible Beef, basically. And I love how pissed off Rick is here, but how he kind of turns on a dime when Morty suggests cloning, like, "Are you suggesting I come up with this crazy bit using my cloning technology?" And he's super into it. This basically turns into a direct Never Let Me Go movie parody. What you see in the episode is basically the plot of the movie. In the movie, a bunch of kids learn that they're destined to become organ donors, like they only exist to become organ donors for other people. Rick also clarifies that on this planet, a person has to understand the concept of life and death in order for them to turn into spaghetti. Seems like a weird qualification, like some psychological aspect into becoming spaghetti. When he mentions the trolley problem, that's actually a real-life psychological ethical dilemma. In one of the problems, you're meant to question if you should pull a lever on train tracks to divert a runaway trolley onto a side track if it means killing only one person instead of killing several people. Like, the whole idea is that you're meant to have to decide whether or not it's better to kill only one person or kill a bunch of people. Either way, you wind up killing someone. That's the ethical dilemma. And it's meant to dovetail with Rick's moral message at the end of the episode, where he basically says that there's no right answer. Like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, and you have to exist. Like, you have to eat. So even if it does mean doing something bad, sometimes you still have to do it. Then Rick basically creates this universe's version of boneless chicken, only it's people, like it's torsos. Somehow this winds up being worse though, and they do the Soylent Green parody like it's made of people. Doesn't last too long until a bunch of protesters who come in from different sides at different positions. People upset that boneless people aren't truly the real thing and they want spaghetti from real people, and others who want rights and freedom for the boneless people. Zoom and enhance in the background here too. One of the protesters looks kind of like Krang from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Then Rick basically fixes everything by showing everyone the lifetime of memories from a person, causing them to be disgusted by the spaghetti, turning everyone off it forever. So it's kind of like them joking that if you could see like the life history of a cow, like the entire life history, you might not want to eat that cheeseburger quite as badly. Love the whole montage here too. There were a couple really funny moments and a couple of twists that it takes. One of my favorite parts though is the relationship subplot here that's going on. For the most part, these memories seem pretty tropey, like you can kind of see the way the arc is going, but then all of a sudden it veers into this whole infidelity and divorce subplot, like, whoa, what is going on here? This is crazy. Basically convincing his old girlfriend to leave her family and join him for the rest of their lives. Like, wow, this has some twists. He also basically winds up creating this world's version of Legos, so got pretty rich as you can see from his crazy mansion. Living the dream with his old girlfriend, eating jam till he dies. Also, the whole idea here that Rick had a secret euthanasia bunker set up on this planet, and it looks super old, like he created this years ago for whatever reason, and is just ready to go at a moment's notice. And how he tells Morty not to question the logic of it, like it's just here, why worry about it? And the whole idea is that even in another reality with like a vacuum cleaner version of Rick, he also has the exact same room. Like vacuum cleaner Rick came up with the exact same idea and with the exact same circumstances is the C-137 version of Rick. Like this is some fundamental part of Rick in every single reality. When they start panning around the planet during the speech, notice at the bar while everyone is fighting each other to the death, one of them is just trying to get free drinks. Like, yeah, this is crazy, but I need an extra drink. Kitty Hawk was the Wright brothers' first successful flight of the world's first full airplane. Technically, it was the first sustained flight by a manned heavier-than-air, powered and controlled aircraft, an airplane basically. Going way back in history, people had actually flown through the air for short periods in smaller craft long before this, but like this was meant to be the first working full airplane. And the song that they played over that montage of memories was Live Forever by Oasis, which they also play in the post-credit scene. I love that in the memory of high school, in the trophy case here, it says sports ball. They also misspell regional champions on here too. Apparently at this high school, they're not so great at spelling. When he winds up flunking out of school and his life sort of devolves, notice that he's drinking wine from a can. That's how you can tell your life has hit rock bottom, as you're drinking wine from a can. And once it's over, even though Rick kind of laments the whole moral conundrum of everything, he still seems like he enjoys the spaghetti. Like, yep, it's great. But like I said, Rick's whole moral message to Morty at the end of the episode is that life itself is fundamentally wrong and death is right, but you can't really side with death because that would be the most depressing way to live ever. Therefore, you have to live, and in order to live, you have to eat. So sometimes you do have to eat the spaghetti, so to speak. And ultimately not to worry about it that much, like don't question it that much, even though he does seem like he understands the whole moral conundrum because he kind of sighs when he eats the spaghetti, like, yeah, this sucks, but I still like the spaghetti. Then they end the episode with that whole bit about the very definitely not ethical Salisbury steaks. Like they have some super dark secret behind them so bad that it would make everybody want to kill themselves. But the family loves the taste so much and they love the closeness that eating them together brings them that they agree that they will never question Rick bringing them something like this ever again. Like sometimes it's just a bunch of really good cheeseburgers and it doesn't matter where they came from. During the post-credit scene, they basically repeat the exact same events that just happened in another reality with a planet of living vacuum cleaners who learn their bags come from dead bodies of a Groot-like Marvel creature. Like, this is basically Groot. And this is meant to be a vacuum cleaner version of Rick revealing the truth to them. Kind of like the whole concept of Hammer Morty, like in every reality, it's not always a human-looking version of Rick, like sometimes they're meant to be other things. Basically ending the episode with them all throwing up the same way, but because they're vacuum cleaners, they eject their bags of dirt everywhere. Let me know in the comments how many of you are hungry for spaghetti after this episode. Don't worry, that does not make you a monster. No judging here, no judgment. There are a bunch of Easter eggs and references though, so if you spotted any in the episode that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments, and my full episode 5 video will post next week after they release it. There's a bunch of big stuff happening this week. My Loki episode 6 video will post after they release it. Click here for that. I'll update the link as soon as I post that. And click here for all my Rick and Morty episode videos. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone enjoy your spaghetti, and I'll see you guys in the next one.